All right, so we're talking about learning how to date. And a lot of you, I've gotten so much great feedback from you women. I love to see women in the comments talking about their life and their experiences and sharing it with each other. Because one, you're not on an island. A lot of people have gone through similar things. You're not by yourself. And I hope that we connect with each other in that way. Like in the comments, everybody's talking about their experience with their parents. And a lot of people are saying their parents didn't know how to teach them how to date. Their parents didn't know how to date themselves, or they're talking about traumatic things they saw their parents going through, domestic violence and just, dating around or trying to find a partner or struggling financially after a partner left the family and so on and so forth. And a lot of people are seeing themselves either as the parent or as the child. Like, what did I experience from my parent? What am I telling to my children or teens that I have in my home? But even when you don't know, even that's a great starting point for conversations. A lot of times when I talk to moms about this, or when I'm telling them to go talk to their teens, they are learning as much from their teens as their teens are from them. This generation thinks very differently. Gen Z even is thinking differently from Gen Alpha. We got different, we're at a sweet spot of a lot of generations combining together. And so a lot of times you can learn stuff from your teens, but it's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, you know what, these are the mistakes that I have made and I learned later in life, blah, blah, blah. Or, I'm just now trying to figure out what to tell you about dating when my experience has been XYZ. Even that is a point of conversation that you can have with your teen or with your young person about how to navigate through the world and what to look for. But notice that after I said take some psychology classes, the first two things are about you on the list when we're talking about a rubric of how to find a great partner when you are teaching dating. The first things are about you. First, I said take some psychology classes or go to therapy so you can learn about human behavior, about what to expect, about things that exist, mental disorders, and just people in general, so you can just learn, so you can educate yourself about others. But the second thing I said was work on you. Your self-esteem is so important in terms of you're teaching people how to treat you with every interaction. You're kind of setting the pace. And one of the things that has held our community back is that they lowered the bar so much to make us think that we're so lucky to get a man that it made the men not try. This is kind of what makes the world go round. I told y'all it's about access to women's bodies. Once the men could access our bodies easily, they didn't even push as hard to, because a lot of times the reason they have a nice car or a nice house or a good job or they take baths is to get a woman. Like, y'all making this too hard. A lot of times what they're doing is to get women. And if they can get the women easily, they're not doing it. Like, our community kind of got stuck because we set up all the women to either not have a man or to take any man she could get. And then the progress slowed down significantly, and then it became on the woman's shoulders, and then it flipped the script of power dynamic in our community, because then our women were more educated than our men, earning our men, and ending up being the head of households more than they would even like. And so once the men made their role almost obsolete by lowering and lowering and lowering and lowering the standard, then women realized that they could do it on their own, and then they realized that their life was much easier without having to take care of a grown child. And then they realized that the progress that they were making would be so much further if they didn't have to keep answering questions, having to manage someone else's life and affairs. And there's a generation, the ex-drug dealers, or the guys who are about 55 now to 45 to 55, born in the late 70s and so on. There's a group right there that really is struggling with the transition of finding their way. If they didn't move up in corporate, or they didn't start their own business, or they didn't, like, some of them are really struggling to find their identity. And the women, the millennial women especially, who love them, if you love a man right now who's between about 45 and 55, that group is kind of struggling with the transition from being a exennial, kind of the last generation, into this generation, and finding their place, because a lot of social things that led to where we are in our community. and different things that were put in place to try to stop us that we end up overcoming and flipping, putting that thing down, flipping it and reversing it. And a lot of steps to get us where we are right now.